Hello, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, nice to be here.
Nice to meet you. How are you?
Busy as always.
And just back from the beach. So, good kind of busy, right?
Well, I got to work on the beach instead of at home.
Tell me a little things about Vengeance Roll&Fight. Well, how the idea came up.
How did the idea come up? Well, Gordon, one of the directors and game designers at Mighty Boards, he approached me, I want to say October, November, something like that, back in the mythical past, to design a Vengeance roll and write game. Vengeance came out a couple of years ago. You can see it behind me. And it has a very cool theme. It's a revenge movie in a box. And it's a dice manipulation puzzle. So you draft some abilities in the montage phase to, level up your character as they do in movies. And then you roll action dice, and then you use various abilities to change those to be able to punch, shoot, and generally demolish bad guys until you get to the boss. And
nice game for the solo people, right?
Yes, it mostly found its audience in the solo gamers, because that way you don't have to wait for somebody else to do it, so it's you having the fun all the time, and because then you can play through all the content in like story campaign and challenges and all those things. And obviously I'm somewhat familiar to the solo community, and I've done one or two unusual roll and writes. And Gordon asked me, hey, can you do Vengeance roll and fight so that we can
roll and write
a Vengeance themed roll and write to keep the attention on our product.
Now you know how we came up with the name.
Yes.
He just says it automatically already.
To be honest, my first idea was rolling with the punches, but this is better. So
way better.
Way better. And because Vengeance has this whole rush to it, and in fact even has a rule that if you're taking too long to figure out your dice puzzle, then it starts a sand timer, and you have 2 minutes to figure out what dice to change where. It seemed to me that the obvious way to turn the game to even more up to 11 is to make it actual real time and have the people like fight simultaneously while clock is ticking or something like that. And fast forward 3 hours later, I'm sitting at home at this very table like this over a large pile of papers when Noralie comes home and asks me what's wrong. And I'm saying, I want to design a real-time roll and write game, but that's impossible. And there she comes.
Yeah, he explained to me what he had already, and I was reminded of a small game that I played at Spiel a few years ago with a friend of mine. And yeah, it has a real-time part of it. You are wizards battling each other, and you're like casting spells.
Actually, by a fellow Greek of yours, so
you're casting spells, and one part of the game is where you have dice. You roll them, you save them up, and put them on the spells you want to cast, and you get new dice from a shared pool, and you keep rolling till either somebody buys the super fancy new spell, or all the dice are out, and then you just one by one cast your spells. And that game actually triggered a real nice idea with me to implement a version of that into the idea David already had to make the roll and write parts in real time actually possible.
And Vengeance already provided us the elements for it, because it has a Dan board, which in Vengeance you fill with minis. So naturally my idea, that was the paper you're drawing on when you're crossing them out and picking up the loot. And Nora's idea, that inspired by the Mystic Scrolls, needed a lot of dice.
How many dice are there in the game?
I think we ended with 45 fighting dice and another 3 for the montage phase before the real time happens. But in Vengeance, all the fighting dice are the same. So I was like, maybe it won't break the bank if I just ask for 45 of the same dice.
Instead of a lot of minis.
And and the dance turned into the paper sheets naturally, and the character abilities leveling up is a very roll and write mechanism of ticking boxes on a paper as well. So it felt natural.
And instead of what David was struggling with first, the real-time part where you real-time roll and real-time write, now you real-time roll from a shared pool that gives some pressure as to, oh shit, I want that dice too. And you just put the dice you use aside for the abilities you use, and the writing happens after the stress, and you can just calmly do your actions after you've already allocated your dice.
Or totally not calmly realize that you forgot to assign one more set of dice to move, and you're actually stuck on the room where there's nobody left to kill. So you still have to plan a lot. Also has happened a lot, yes. And from then on, I spent the next couple of days looking through every single ability and character and special move Vengeance has, and was like, okay, dice conversion doesn't work in real time. If you do 2 of this action, you can do that. Like, okay, sure, there will be a tile that heals, but what? And
how do we heal?
And how do we do the rest? And how do we gain wounds? And when do they shoot back? And it was essentially me trying to implement this, and then Nora every now and then poking in and said, yeah, you can just do that. And I was like, damn it. and then repeat. And then like 2 or 3 days later, a couple of our friends came over and we chucked some dice, figured out which action is how fun and how many times you want to do it, and then made a call to Gordon saying, we have something crazy for you.
Because for first play, it was actually already really fun.
Yeah, it mostly became like half of the abilities designed on the first time was like, okay, trash, but like the concept hasn't changed since day one.
You have made episodes 1 and 2.
Yes, 1 and 2 uses the same mechanisms.
Okay.
They are cross-compatible and balanced against each other as well. The difference is in the content.
Do you have any thoughts of evolving the game, of expansions, or are there any episodes on the way? How are you?
I can't commit for the publisher, but as Nora will happily explain,
yes,
she has a million more mechanisms.
Already have a lot more ideas, and also a really nice way to involve outside spaces in the game, because most of the dens are very simple, but
like spatially simple.
Yeah, spatially simple.
Not gameplay simple.
No. And we've like you walk to a door and you can go both ways through that door, and that's it. And the ideas we have is not just involving outside spaces and hedges and windows, but also
climbing down
and up and jumping off something. So not just outside, inside, more interaction, but also more height differences. And of course, that was a bit too complicated for the one now, but that already gives us with so many good ideas for possible future episodes.
And meanwhile, I was trying to send linked dens with multiple bosses, and Matthew was just like, thank you, please don't burn anybody's brain. Just hope this works, and then we can make more.
You can play with both episodes together. You can take it.
It's we made sure that if you only buy one of them, then you get a taste of everything. So there is one shooting focused hero in one of the boxes, there is one shooting focused hero in the other box, but the 2 shooting focused heroes are different, and they are differently fun, yet they're balanced against each other and against the other characters in their own box, etc. So you're not missing out anything if you only get one box, but
2 boxes just gives you more of the fun.
It gives you more of the fun, and we're even testing ways of how to set up the dice pool if you have big enough tables for more than 4 people to pay.
Is it easy for someone to start playing?
The rules are very simple, but because you have to internalize all of it before the shooting hits the fan, therefore when I've last taught it to non-developing, non-analyzing people who just wanted to see what they can do, then what I tend to do is we play one round, you realize you've only taken 3 actions where you should have rolled the dice a lot faster. Good, now we restart the game.
Yeah, because it's easy enough to start rolling and just allocating your dice, because you can see which symbols you need to collect, and it's obvious enough if you want to move or shoot or stabby somebody. But yeah, after that you realize that, of course, strategy-wise you're way off, but you don't really need the strategy yet for your first frantic rolling round.
So starting playing is really easy. Starting playing, planning to win, especially in multiplayer against other people, you have to warm up.
Does it have a board?
It doesn't have a central board. Every player has their character board, which is where they place the ability dice and tick their health and their level ups and whatnot. And every player has a den board, which is where they have a single piece moving around showing where their character are, and then they're crossing off and ticking the enemies and counting how and circling the loot and marking the boss's health as it declines.
Yeah, in every game you just have a new den board and a new character board. If you want, you can play with the same characters. Playing with the same dens is probably less fun unless you try to maximize your own strategy, but
even if you play on the same den but against a different boss, then your challenge will still be different.
Or with a different character.
Yeah.
So there's tons of combinations to make, and it's all fun.
What is special about Vengeance Roll&Fight?
The fact that it's a real-time roll and write is already, I think, the biggest selling point of the game, because what other real-time roll and write is there? I can't think of anything.
And to me, from the game design and form breaking end of things, when people say roll and writes, everybody has this idea. Well, sometimes it's not dice, sometimes it's cards, but the core idea is the same. There's some randomization in the middle, and then everybody has their own little board where they make some choices, rinse, repeat, score at the end. What other people do don't really matter. There's no pressure, no interaction. The biggest selling point is that it fits on a small paper pad, and you can play it with 25 people at the same time if you want, and that's cool.
What's your favorite part of the game? What do you enjoy the most?
Beating him?
Yeah, but that's true for every game. You have to find something unique. For me, in every real-time game, I'd like to make a plan, and then there's always that point when that plan goes out the window, and most real-time games that accomplished this in the past have always been cooperative. And while cooperative real-time is one thing that I do like, but when I can do this myself and I'm the one who kicked down the door, that's a special kind of feeling. So
yeah, I think a really nice part about doing this real time is that where normally the person who is the smartest and who can plan the best will always win because they planned it the best, so obviously they're winning. And with this real time element, you can plan as good as you want, but if you don't get that last die you need, or if somebody else was faster, if you don't roll well enough, then your plan is not going to work out, and you need to change your plan on the spot. And that means that where normally you have a gaming group with a bit more strategic games, the smartest player will most of the time win, but now being the smartest is not an advantage anymore. You have to be the quickest and you have to think on your feet, and that's something that more people will enjoy, and you'll have a lot of fun doing that. And even if you then lose, then who cares?
And I need more games like that, because otherwise I'll never win. But last time we played Prison Architect, she only beat me by 11%, so I'm getting there, as opposed to the 30-40% we had earlier.
Prison Architect involves speed also?
No, it doesn't. It involves pricing multiple things and seeing spatially, and while I'm medium at the former, I'm not good at the latter.
And
so.
Also it requires some anticipating what other people are gonna do, and that's also more of a social aspect of it. There's some kind of bluffing and double bluffing in it too with the bidding. If you play with
it's a pricing. Yes, I see what you mean.
If you play not the first time you play, because the first time you play you're just happy that you got that tile, but the more you play it and the more you know the people you're playing with, the more it's like, okay, I want that tile, but I think he wants it too, but he also wants that tile, but we don't have enough money for both to get both, but I'm guessing that he wants that tile, so I can bid lower on that and then higher on that, but then he thinks I'm gonna do it. So the whole bidding part also creates a lot of bluffing and double bluffing and social interaction where you're like, what is he gonna do? And I think that's a lot of fun too.
And I've heard a very common complaint of simultaneous bidding games that it's essentially a form of player-driven randomness because you don't have information to guess, yet it's too meaningful. But in Prison Architect, you're bidding on 5 things essentially simultaneously, so you have to set 5 bids and then reveal.
Yeah.
And you have 90% of the information that the person who's making the bids bases it on.
Yeah, because if we play with the 2 of us and he has an objective where he wants all kinds of things related to cooking and I want the garden, then when there's a cooking tile and a garden tile, I'm pretty sure that he's gonna go for the cooking tile and not the garden tile I want. But when we both have an objective that needs all the cooking, then I know that we have to fight each other for it and bid a lot higher because that is a tile we both need for objectives. And objectives and every information for what somebody needs is open. You know how much money somebody had at the start of bidding, you know what they want because of the objectives, you know what they already have. So it's really easy to track what you think they're gonna do.
And because the bidding happens simultaneously and it's not win or lose, but pick first or pick second.
Yeah.
Because of that, even if you misprice one of your bids by 1, it's not like, oh god, the 1 card I needed to complete my set is gone. There is still more things to do.
And even if you're not winning, you still have a lot of fun during the whole time you're playing because the point difference is only apparent at the end of the game, not during
It's final scoring on a big scoring pad, so you know.
And then you suddenly notice how much points you got with your objectives, but up until that point you're just having fun building your prison and
feeling good about meeting those objectives.
Yes, and by the time the game is over, then you almost don't care anymore about the points because you just have fun playing. And that's the most important thing with board games. You need to have fun playing, and then who wins or loses, that's just the secondary thing.
Prison Architect is a game designed by you.
Yes. Yeah, it's the first game I really designed. Like all the other things I helped David with and I got credits with were David doing something and then me jumping in and giving him amazing ideas. But Prison Architect was the first thing I really did myself because he asked me, hey, all these video games, which one should be a board game? And I said, Prison Architect, obviously. And
I said, show me the mechanisms that will make me care without knowing anything about the board game. And
so
she did.
I translated the video game as well as I could to a board game. Then we had to cut half of that because upkeep is so easy in video games and so hard in board games. And now we have a board game that's amazing there where like 90% of the ideas are purely mine and he helped me perfect it and work on it and tell me what worked or not.
What kind of gamers will enjoy Vengeance Roll&Fight?
People who are in it for the theme will love it because it's adrenaline through and through. People who love dice chucking games where they still have to make a plan will love it because it's dice chucking with planning.
People who love real-time excitement will have a lot of fun in it too. They will feel like they can still do that strategic planning without spending hours doing it. So
yeah, the whole game takes 20 minutes and if you want to play it solo, it takes about that much space up on your table.
Of course, fans of the original Vengeance game will absolutely love it too, I'm sure of that.
And roll and write fans that like having all kinds of small games to pull out halfway to the airport and play with it now have something a lot more noisy and shouty to do.
And hopefully attract some other interesting people who are like, oh, that sounds fun, I want to play it too.
So yeah, get the existing fans of all the boxes we're ticking and pull in some new people because we're here for all of you.
So how did you got into the solo mode thing?
Solo mode thing, that's one of the most ironic life developments I've ever had.
Because you never play solo games.
Because I never play solo games. I can't play solo games. For me, everything is I want to talk to other people. So board gaming is just a chance to talk at people. So solo gaming makes me literally sound insane because I start talking to myself. But when many years ago, 5, 6, 7, I don't know. We were planning the Anachrony Kickstarter campaign with Mindclash Games, and they asked my input on more stretch goal ideas. And I said, I don't know, this Automa thing seems to be getting some people excited. I think the Tuscany expansion for Viticulture just came out, which was Morten Monrad Petersen's first famous solo. I was like, I don't know, I could try out if I can make something pretend that it's playing Anachrony. And knowing what I know now, that first Automa for Anachrony was not that good, but it was good enough. And it was in a very good game that got successful, that got well presented, got to a lot of people, and it uplifted its visibility. And then when another year or two later, I quit my good old day job and decided to do this full time, then I went to some publishers of mine and I said, royalties are great, but I do need a little bit of money every month to eat. And they said, okay, what can you do that is worth money? And I was like, I don't know, I can make solo modes for your games. And literally the first game that one of my publishers put on my table after this promise was Teotihuacan. And at the time I thought I needed more work, so I offered to do more solo modes for more people. And then, you know, a year or two later, as all those games,
the ball started rolling.
As all the games come out, the ball started rolling, and now it's expected.
Now you're the solo guy.
Now I'm the solo guy, and like I think I counted a few weeks ago, I have 38 solo modes that the public knows about.
So, what are your plans for the future?
I've always loved playing board games, and I was a board game player long before I was anything close to a designer. And yeah, well, here in Leiden where I live, we have an amazing board game association too, that I spend multiple nights a week at playing board games. And
before the dark times.
Yeah, before. And when I started designing, I actually really loved that too. So for me, I just have so many ideas running in my head, and I'm hoping to make a lot more board games, maybe some even all on my own without David's help, but we'll see how far I get.
Welcome to it.
I'm just planning on designing a lot more because I actually love doing it.
I'll be here to motivate and help for sure. For me, most of my long-term plans as far as board games go are under NDA, so I won't tell you about any of those. What I can tell you is that, of course, Roll&Fight is coming on May the 11th. I hope somebody will see this video before then, or around at that time. 2 days later, May the 13th, Railways of the World, which is a quite famous, well-known 15-year-old rail game by Martin Wallace and Glenn Frank Drover, is getting a solo expansion that makes almost all the maps solo playable. That is based on my concept, and my right-hand man, John Albertson, played it a couple of hundred times to make sure it's...
Because again, solo guy.
Solo guy, yes. And the third one is, of course...
It was almost on a napkin.
Almost on a napkin, yes. And then the third one is, of course, on the 21st, Prison Architect. So those are the ones we've already talked a lot about.
It was nice talking with you guys.
It was nice talking to you too, and thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh, and the cat butt that's also in every picture of a video with a cat, because that's what cats like.